Our first live together.
Yes,
How
Rena.
are you? Right, let me
I'm
just
very,
say,
very well. I happen to be actually very well today, both mentally, emotionally, and physically very well. I
well,
guess because I
I'm
had an
glad, Eric. Can I
Wendy
just say,
survived. There was supposed to be a storm that they call Northeaster that never existed until I came back in the 90s, that term, or I never knew of it. I was in England. And it turned out to be a North Dudster. We moved the car to a high gravel hill. The neighbors let us park it there, and there was no flooding or anything. And so we weathered through it, and that's about it. And there's a lot that's taking place, as you know, with the Savino case.
well, let me just start off by saying, I thought, I've got to do a live, start doing lives at some point, There's a couple of good things about lives is, there's no editing involved if needs be. The video's up straight away and it just makes my life easier and everyone else's lives easier. And of course, we can have awesome guests on at last minute like you, Eric. And I know you've always got a lot to say. And I
Yeah.
think there's some things that need discussing.
And you're also a very good counterbalance because neither you nor I are out to push people to think like us. I'll repeat it. You believe David Berkowitz was alone. I believe there was a collectivity, but we don't start attacking each other. That's the illness in this whole thing. Even if somebody says there's a collectivity or he's alone, but they have a different aspect, they all savagely go after each other. It's absurd.
Well, this brings me on to the subject in hand, which I think we've been pretty good at avoiding over the last few years. But just recently, some people are very vocal about other people, aren't they, Eric? And it's getting to the point where it's getting a little bit ridiculous.
Well,
and
it's
you know
getting
what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous, but I haven't seen yet anything vulgar as it's been in the past. I mean, extremely vulgar about depicting people, and that shows on their part how poor they are as investigators because they have to lower themselves to vulgarity because they don't know how to express themselves and they don't have a proper thought in their mind. You know, it's and it doesn't help the investigation, and it is an insult to the victims, those who were murdered, those who were injured and live with their injuries, and like Joanne Lomino, she dies paraplegic. Those who remain in mental shock, the loved ones, they don't care. It's all about me when it should be about the case, you know. And do you have what is your interest in the Wendy Savino case? What made you interested in this case other than it was brought out as it was amongst those whom we knew and didn't know? What do you make of this case yourself?
Me, Eric?
Yeah.
Well, when I first heard the story of Wendy, it kind of caught me off guard, like, oh, another victim. Oh my God. But then within like a few days, I start looking at things and things just weren't adding up, Eric, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a slow trickle.
Yeah.
And I thought the one thing that stood out to me most is surely if it was David right from the get-go, he confessed to everything else the night he was arrested, even to crimes not even linked to him. But there was no mention of Wendy anywhere. Wendy had never. So that's what stood out to me the most. And then we all started, brainstorming. And it kind of went from there. It snowballed.
Yeah. Well, what actually made me interested in it is not the Wendy Savino case. And I don't mean to discard the lady who has suffered and probably even her family. But what made me interested in is the Son of Sam. It's connected to the Son of Sam case. And, whatever one thinks of Maury Terry, I happen to admire a lot about him. Was he deliberately a liar anytime? Maybe at times, but I think he was greatly mistaken and overwhelmed, as I've always said. And I remember I did a show with Manny, and I said, you know, the problem with Terry is that he tried to take every crime he would discover during his investigation of the Son of Sam and say that that crime was a part of the Son of Sam. That was the great problem. Now, why do I bring that out? Because he would have definitely brought up the Wendy Savino shooting.
Most definitely. And he's categorically denied it to this very day.
That's
and the
right.
fact that the guy was never even questioned about this.
No.
Till last year.
Yeah.
A giant red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Even in 1994, Eric.
Yeah. Well,
question.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up 1994. You had heard that there was this case was investigated in 1994.
Yes.
And can you still see me?
Well, yes, we can.
Okay, because I wanted to get something here, just to be exact. All right, about a word, because this is right now. The word ongoing means continuing, still in progress, right? Now, when having communication with New York Police Department Homicide Detective Robert Klein, he's retired, but out of respect, I give him his title, and we've gotten along very well. He told me, yes, it was reinvestigated in 1994, and it was a DD5, which means Detective Division 5. And the numeral 5 means ongoing. Now, her shooting was in 1976, right? So depending when in 1994 this Detective Division 5 took place, it was either 17 years after or from April of 94 on, 18 years. Now, maybe it's sloppy language when they say it's ongoing. Maybe I imagine it means it was never really considered a cold case officially. Detective Klein would have to confirm that. Somebody would have to confirm it. And my question makes sense. You know, if it was a cold case, then somebody says, wait, I see there's evidence. Let's reopen it and investigate, which was a specialty, I'm told, of Detective Klein. But here there's other people. Klein was not involved in 1994. And he informed me a week and a half ago. This was not, you know, somebody, I told other people this, and that's how perhaps somebody has written about it. I think somebody said that Mr. Manny Grossman mentioned it in some writing recently. Well, the fact is that Klein told me directly, and he was upset about it. And it's one of the comments I did not cut and paste from my file from LinkedIn, copy and paste. Now listen to this. They never went to question the personage, protagonist, victim of the Wendy Savino shooting, Mrs. Brenda M. Wendy Savino Clark. They never questioned her. So what type of an ongoing investigation is this? You're going to actually cover what you've covered before and somehow go after something else that has come up. So that's a very big mystery right there. Why wasn't she even questioned in 1994?
And why has David never been questioned up until last year, Eric?
Well,
if she's been screaming since 1977 that David Berkowitz shot her, and it's like I said in our last video, Eric, why didn't she go to the press? Why didn't she go to Maury Terry, who was the foremost expert on David Berkowitz for many, many years?
I can only surmise something, right? Not a theory, just a surmisement. And this has to do with certain things that you brought my attention to on the video that Klein sent me, where I got to listen to him speak. And you mentioned that on that show, hosted by Eric Hunley, Unstructured, she had said that she had a tracheotomy. She couldn't speak. She was writing down notes on one of those beautiful yellow legal pads.
Yep.
And she said she cut them up. She ate them and swallowed them because she said, they might know I know too much.
Yes.
I don't have the exact words, but that's a proper paraphrase.
She was worried about them finding what she was writing.
Yeah, and then her physician was given word, and I'd like to go back and find out who this fellow was. He might be alive. He wanted to take her to his home because he knew that her husband wanted her murdered. So we're not pulling rabbits out of a hat. These are statements. And I'm surprised that neither, they are statements that are very, very important.
Yes. And during the video in that you're talking about, they didn't even question her. What do you mean, Wendy? What do you mean?
In fact, in an electronic mail message titled "The Interview of Frank Banks," also known as Francis J. Banks, he was a law enforcement officer who founded the Wakefield Detective Agency with Wendy's husband, Mr. Joseph A. Savino Jr., right? I responded to Mr. Paul Hart, very fine gentleman he is, and I responded to him, and there were others included in that because he sent it to a collectivity, so I responded to everyone. Manny posted today that he was upset with the New York Police Department for not questioning Wendy in '94. Okay, so, well, fair enough. That's true. But you see, that I'm going to tie into that, okay, the mystery that I questioned during our last show on September 10th. Okay? Thank you, Mr. Sipos. So this is what I responded to Paul. I said, like so ever much in this case and others, there are many questions that lead one's logic to possible scenarios. Why would Mr. Joseph Savino Jr. have hired a lawyer to prevent interrogation of his wife? Any normal husband would have welcomed it, especially after an attempted homicide. I'd have fried under the hot lamp, Mr. Banks. These detectives make me nervous with their shallow routine. It's true. They don't ask the right questions. Now, my question is, and it seems obvious and simplistic, but how did the detectives come to suspect that Mr. Savino Jr. had something to do with the shooting of his wife? And I know that a spouse or a loved one in family or an intimate friend are always the first to be put under suspicion, but there's more than just the routine feeling that something is possible. Also the fact that Mrs. Brenda M. Wendy Savino Clark had been writing down notes, as you told me and we heard, on a legal pad, and decided to tear them up and swallow them for fear that they would think she knew too much or would reveal something. Now, are the they, we don't know who the they is, that plurality, just the police? Who are the they?
Yes, who are the they? Who are the they?
Yeah, the they is not Mr. David Berkowitz. They is not
singular.
A person that people have alluded to, Mr. Joseph Messina, who was murdered 2 to 5 hours, the times vary when it's reported, away from her in Bronx County. There's a very this man. How can you eat dry paper with a tracheotomy? Oh,
exactly.
Very good, Mr. Harvey Carl Wolf. Very good. But she said it. Thank you, Mr. Wolf.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that would have been no easy feat.
Yeah. Who are the they?
Who are the they?
And then what of the physician who wanted to take Mrs. Savino Clark home because he exclaimed he knew her husband wanted her dead? I want to find his name. And once again, these people, say this. Now, the Detective Division 5 never interviewed her. They never did interview her. Even though there were no new developments, the minimum requirement without new developments was to interview her. I mean, she's the protagonist, and this is a police science fact. Unless the Detective Division 5 is not what it's supposed to be, but the word ongoing means there's something in progress, even though it's 17 to 18 years later. And, are we supposed to assume that for 17 years to 18 years, depending when in 1994 this took place, someone in the New York Police Department was constantly on top of this? You see what I mean? Because the word ongoing is, numeral 5. I confirmed what it meant. I even went to somebody else. There must have been a very serious reason, in my opinion, other than the attempted murder of her. Very, very serious reason why they did this. And I firmly believe it had nothing to do with the Son of Sam case. There's no evidence about Mr. David Berkowitz or anyone else. This is my position of his collectivity attempting the slaying. That's all there is. Now, I had asked a question at the end of our last show. This is the mystery. Now, this has nothing to do with Detective Klein, even though he went with his detectives to interview Mr. Berkowitz at the Shore Angon Correctional Facility prison in Ulster. I think it's Ulster County, right? That costs money when you travel. I will repeat that. It costs money. You're taking a crew. And even a superior, I believe he told me, was there, Cegle, Cegle. He was a superior in the police. He probably still is. There's minimum, no proof except for the it's a guess. It's not even an assumption on the part of Yonkers detective Mike James Lorenzo. All it is a guess, the lowest of the 7 levels of logic. Just a guess. Except that detective, I think his name was Summers, gave to Detective Maida his murder report, because Lomino survived, but Donna Laria was murdered, to Detective Maida, 8th homicide zone to 9th, or the other way around, 9th to 8th, because that's what detectives do. They say, I had a similar case, but there's no accusation there. He says, here, have this on file. It may help you. That's the way they work. So there's nothing there. The New York Police Department hierarchy listens to Detective Klein. He can't say, I want the money. I got to go. Come on, let's take off. They finance that. They need money. The Bronx County District Attorney's Office is notified about that. But there's nothing about Wendy Savino's shooting that's in proximity at all to David Berkowitz and the Son of Sam. Nothing. And listen to this. As I brought up the other time, I interviewed Yonkers Deputy Chief of Police and historian George Rutledge, a great, great interview. He went in 1995, I've stated this before, but not in conjunction with what I've just said, before Detective Kevin Murphy, before calling Vice Detective Jim Boots Martin Rothstein back to go undercover and interview Walter Ace Brown, before Detective Sergeant Mike Cordella and a detective of his were able to go with permission. It was official from the New York Police Department to the Yonkers Police Department. I never knew he and Murphy worked together for a while. This is before all of that. Deputy Chief Rutledge went to Queens County District Attorney Richard Allen Brown, who had succeeded Santucci, and said, listen, I want to look into this Son of Sam case. He had a serious reason, and Brown said it's closed. Now, I bring that up because there is proximity, there's knowledge. The location and people are mentioned. Whether it's a fact or not, they had a suspicion. Cordella wanted to visit Berkowitz and was prevented. And now all of a sudden, a crew of law enforcement officers go up just based upon what Yonkers Detective Lorenzo and Mr. Grossman present to the New York Police Department. None of it makes any sense. None of it makes any sense. There's nothing convincing about this.
Well, this case certainly hasn't penetrated the Son of Sam case, has it? And it's not likely to. Even AI videos that are coming out frequently, there's no mention of Wendy Savino hardly on any of them, Eric.
No. Now,
that's AI.
Yeah. You see, that doesn't mean that there can never be something else taking place. Now, this Detective Summers, I hope I have his name right. I believe it was Summers, heard of the shooting before there was ever known of a 44 caliber killer, which became the Son of Sam, of Donna Lauria and Joanne Lomino, right? He heard of that. I recently got some very fine newspaper cuttings from a Westchester County newspaper. In fact, that's the newspaper where I found a lot of information about Gajdusek when we did the show on Dr. Daniel Carlton Gajdusek. Is it called the Herald Statesman, I believe? And from a lady who got involved in investigating and was one of the originals to sign the non-disclosure agreement at the home of Mr. Joshua Zeman, Jessie Delano Rocchio, right? She's no longer Mrs. Delano. She's going to marry again. And she'll be Mrs. Hoffman. And she sent me about 7 screenshots, right?
The lovely Jess.
Yeah. Now, this had to do with a murder-suicide in Yonkers of a Mr. William Fitzgerald and a James McIntyre. According to them, and I have to study them better, McIntyre shot dead Fitzgerald and then he turned the gun upon himself. Now, as I'm going through these newspapers, serendipity is interesting. Below one of the last main stories on this, there is another story, but it's cut the way it was screenshot. And I don't like screenshots, but I'm grateful if somebody gives them to me. I prefer printing out and downloading the entire thing. So below it, there's a story about a Detective Thomas Delaney mentioning Son of Sam. It's weird. Later on, in the 2nd edition of the Son of Sam, The Truth About the Cult Murders, the Son of Sam and Beyond, in the epilogue, this Fitzgerald and McIntyre are mentioned, and there's a quote from Berkowitz that's in there. Billy, he refers to William Fitzgerald as Billy. You have to have confidence or an acquaintanceship. You just don't say, oh, that's William Fitzgerald, and then you say, oh, he's Billy. No, if you know somebody is Richard, but you call him Richard, there's a certain intimacy. That's just a curiosity. I really don't know if Berkowitz is playing when he says that. But this Wendy Savino case is a tragedy for her. I would like to know just exactly what, here's Sipos. He believes that Manny's father has connections to police unions and they help Manny get special treatment from the New York Police Department. Anything is possible, but I don't know about that. I know that people are trying to say that his father's in espionage and things like that. I don't know. I don't. And that's not because I knew him. You don't know. I don't know. So who did, Neo has said, so who did it? In other words,
good question, Neo.
in other words, who did the Wendy Savino shooting? Neo?
Yes.
I have no idea. I'm thinking of the physician who knew that he wanted to murder her. I mean, this guy was not clean.
It's a very, very strange statement to make. And the fact that nobody picked up, when she said this, on Hunley's video, it was just, they just sat there and stared at her in amazement. And no one even said, what do you mean, Wendy? Why did your doctor say this to you?
That's the problem. That's the problem. People do not evaluate what they receive. They don't evaluate what they receive. It's very possible that it could be organized crime that maybe wanted to murder her because, as Dr. Michael Caparelli told me, twice they had bombed the Wakefield Detective Agency or properties that he and Banks had. He was gun running from Florida, silencers he had. He did time in jail. And something else Paul Hart sent me was what the child, the son, Jay Savino, wrote. My father has people also in high places. He knows people in high places. Well, I know people in high places, but for me, the mystery is not who shot her, and I do care to find out who would have wanted to murder her. But the mystery is why. Why does the establishment allow this to be connected to David Berkowitz just upon a whiteboarding mess? And I'm not being sarcastic, by Yonkers detective Lorenzo. That's what I want to know. Why did they open up to that when people like Rutledge and Codella and others had more sound reason to allow the case to officially be looked into again? That's my whole point.
Well, Eric, speaking of Jess, that will get us onto this subject. I think this case has been somewhat hijacked by a certain person.
Well,
you know all too well.
Well, this
and
is,
yes,
I think,
this is Criminal Justice Chris.
Yes.
Now, whoever calls himself Criminal Justice Chris is a giant red flag to begin with, okay?
Yeah. Well, I first encountered her when she contacted me. In fact, it was law enforcement officer David Biondi who first contacted me, and he was artistically known on the sites as Hulk. And he said that he had a friend. Now, that was short-lived because right away he stopped having anything to do with her. He was unnerved. He said, now these are his words, and he says, you could say whatever you want about me. He said, this woman's a psycho. Don't have anything to do with her. Block her. Don't have any contact. But eventually, before that, because I had a breakup with her the first of 2 times or 3, I have a curiosity about people. I've always known a lot of different types of people. And so I first got in touch with her. We would speak over the phone for hours. And it was many times a very intelligent discussion, artistically, everything else. But she puts it into her mind that it's as if she has a domination of the life of David Berkowitz. And that when I released the documents as they should have been, the file with all the documents, David was hurt, and so forth and so on. And then she had this obsession. I mean, truly obsession. I'm not just throwing that.
I'd call it an obsession. I'd call it an obsession.
Yeah, she has this obsession with 2 gentlemen, Mr. Paul Santo Agostino, Neo Yes the One, and another fellow who had called me because he wanted to be in touch with Rothstein. I don't know where he is now, Mr. Christopher Piero. And she had an obsession to prove that they were with organized crime, an affiliation on the part of Agostino with his father, Albanian mafia, and that Piero was with the Gambino crime family. And it would really make me weary because it went on and on and on. And then I told her about how Paul gave documents he thought that Manny should have given me. The ones that I originally called the stolen police reports from Yonkers, Ed Zigo and others, and then I changed it to The Mysterious Displacement, which a fireman had had for 44 years, and Paul discovered when he went out to investigate the case, and he really went to investigate everything on his own. And she, she says, "Oh, and so he gave them to you while you were speaking on Facebook?" I says, "Oh yeah, we had a fantastic discussion. There was Leash, there was Richie Lewis, there was Nathan Ward, there was Rena from England, there was other people. There was that guy Chris, the fire dispatcher man, and 2 or 3 others joined in." And she writes to me saying, "I want to know every name that was on that show."
Now, whose business is the house, Eric?
Yeah, she wants to know every single name on the show. And once I even, mentioned figuratively, when you get upset about society and you say, "Oh God, I wish we had some authority here to wipe all this trash away," almost like Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver, or a famous film about a true law enforcement officer was murdered walking tall. You get sick and tired of what's going on. Nobody does anything. And I was laughing at it. I says, "Yeah, Manny and I one day were talking, and we said we wish Putin would invade the place." Now, that's figurative talk. You see what I mean? It's not literal.
Well, it seems to me that this Christina is trying to find dirt on people, and she's unable to. So then she just starts making stuff up.
Well, she wrote to me saying it's serious that Manny said that about Putin because his father was in the military.
I'm failing to understand, Eric, what she thinks people's motives are.
I don't.
For her to keep bringing people's names up and then cries and legal threats when anyone dares whispers her name is absolutely amazing.
This is the thing. I know her full name, her previous married family name. There's nothing wrong with that. And her maiden name. And she says, "How come you write it the way you do it?" I said, "Well, I'm a traditionalist. It goes back to my maternal grandmother. It's a rather cultured, aristocratic way of showing lineage genealogically," and she accepted that. And I gave her chances. She once then called me before she came back to me, and she says, "This call is being recorded. You are never, ever, ever to call me. I told you that. No contact. I will go to the police." And then she said the last time she recorded every single conversation we had, she and I. And she says, "I know friends are not supposed to do that." So I couldn't give a hoot what she said. And there was, once again, always the obsession with Agostino, and always the obsession with Manny Grossman and his father. And it never ended. Then we get to David Berkowitz. And I said, "I'm thinking of writing to him." "I wouldn't do that." And I was thinking of looking into Steve Trackman. Now, what she said is not really wrong. She says, "Well, be careful, Eric. You have a wife. That's very dangerous with Trackman." And as we went on and on and on, her psychology is part of the weak psychology, the outlook that exists today in North America, where you have sympathy.
The Savino case, Eric. It's one of them. It's like a bad car crash, but you have to look. You don't want to look, you look.
Well, I'll give you an example of the weak psychology, which is crazy. Ed Klemperer, that horrible big man who killed his mother, decapitated, locked girls up in his car, tortured and murdered them. She says to me, "Well, him I can have sympathy for. I really feel sorry for him." I said, "Why? Klemperer? His mother was not very kind to him, Eric." That's insane. Some people suffer tremendously. And then also she likes to take academic courses. There's nothing wrong with that. And she took one on a criminal justice course of people rehabilitating themselves and being able to be in society normally again after they've been in prison. So she discovered a case that took place in Ohio, of where it was like a schismatic Mormon group. And this schismatic Mormon group was suspicious of a family that wanted to leave them and maybe wanted to take money or whatever, but they became paranoid about them. And he had a man run at very high speed a chainsaw, and they blew the man's brains out, the father of the family, and threw him in a big ditch. And then one by one, they would call the wife and the children. The wife, your husband needs you. They put tape around the nose and everything, blow the brains out. And they even did that to the children. I think the youngest was 9. I think it was 2 or 3 children. So I don't know if the death penalty went to the main man. I would have given it to all of them. And one of the men went to jail for 15 to 20 years, and he happens to be her professor. And she said to me, I really believe when I see his eyes that that man has come to Christ and has changed. So this is lunacy. And
well, Eric, I think it's incredible. Like I said a minute ago, she's so quick to throw dirt on everybody, just make shit up. Yet when anyone whispers her name, she sends these fake cease and desists.
yeah, well, it's ridiculous. It doesn't hold a bag of water. Even though there is a law that only David Berkowitz can release his military record with permission to someone.
Well,
if you were to get that military record, Rena, right? If you got it, somebody gave it to you. You don't have to reveal who gave it to you, and you have every right to reveal it. There's going to be people firmly against me, but that's a fact.
Well, I think she, she's barking up the wrong tree with a few people, and if she carries on, something's going to happen. She's going after people like Jess Delano. She's going after people like Max. She's just out of control at the moment, and it needs to stop. And I've got a statement from Max, because she's going after. She's saying that Jess should have, disclosed her relationship with Richie Sparrazza's. Why is it any of her business what Jess does?
That's right. What is it of her business? What is the business of her wanting to know if Bernadette Doyle Liberatore's life? What business is it about all these people? Now, Jack Myers, right, told me that she sees everything as a conspiracy. He told her a story that when he was a little boy, a famous basketball player sat down next to him. He's from Pennsylvania. And she made a conspiracy out of that, he said. Manny has just written in. I feel you guys are way off base with Wendy, but hey, we all agree on Clough. She's an absolute lunatic. Every day I get cease and desist from her. Okay. Well, different opinion, Manny, but
yes, we'll all agree that Christina Clough is a wackadoo, and
we can't debate Wendy right now. It would, it's a complex case. But
Manny, you're welcome to join us if you like. The link's at the top of the chat.
You want to stream in, Manny? Nobody's gonna harass you. You know me. Nobody's going to slam you. Why don't you stream in? So anyway,
yes, Christina is, she's going after Jess. She's mentioning Max. And I've got a statement from Max. Christina, sorry, Criminal Justice Chris. I'll just read this statement from Max. I know Max very well, okay? And I know you need to stay away, right? This is from Max's own words, okay? I will not be engaging in any further exchanges with Christina. Should I choose to address her unfounded allegations or the misuse of the medium platform to publish them, I will do so through appropriate legal channels. The fact that a potential employer could search my name online and be influenced by baseless falsehoods is unacceptable. It is deeply ironic that an individual who professes such concern over false claims continues to make unfounded statements about others. For example, she has repeatedly asserted that I have been longtime friends with Joshua Zeman. As the attached screenshots demonstrate, I was entirely unfamiliar with Mr. Zeman until he joined the Maury Terry Facebook group, at which point I first learned of the documentary. Countering such fabrications is trivial. However, blogs, videos, and direct messages will not be my mediums of response. Regardless of where one falls politically, I believe all reasonable and rational people can agree that publishing rumors, falsehoods, and misinformation about anyone should be condemned and discouraged. Even in these dark times, surely we can find some common ground there. For the record, I have never had any direct communication with Christina and harbour no animosity towards her. Furthermore, Carl Denaro, who remains a friend, has informed her that my sole interest has always been the pursuit of truth in this matter. Any implication of deceit or ulterior motive is utterly derangement. That pursuit, however, has brought the considerate difficulty, and in retrospect, I sincerely wish I had never encountered the name David Berkowitz. Godspeed to all.
Oh, that's excellent on the part of Maximilian. It really is excellent. By the way, she has even criticized Carl Denaro and his relationship with Berkowitz. Oh, Eric, Carl has been not nice to him. He keeps pushing him for information. It hurts David, Eric.
I mean,
You know,
has she ever sent you a cease and desist, Eric?
no, because I haven't done anything.
Manny says, since literally every blog of hers lies about me, how do you think I feel? Rock and Mike is also responsible for egging her on. What do you think about that, Eric?
Well, after a while, I would say when he says, how do you think her lies about me? How do you think I feel? It is annoying to have a sick mind always coming after you. Even if you're a strong person, it's a sick mind after a while. And I had a nice conversation with Rocco Mike finally. I don't understand his position. But Neo, how many lies you say, Larry? Neo, I'd love to have you and Manny on with us today. Why don't you both come in? Because you've been fair, Neo. You know that. You have said to Christina, come on with me. You've said to Manny, come on the show with me. Right? But nobody comes on. In fact, why doesn't Christina investigate? Why doesn't Christina investigate and call up Lorenzo? Why doesn't she want to interview Lorenzo? How come, if Manny Grossman is still alive, she doesn't want to interview him? Why doesn't she accept Paul's invitation to come on a show with her? These people.
She's all talk and no action, Eric, as they say.
Yeah, that's all it is. That's all it is. Now, about Jess Delano and the show, right? Here's what she said. This is the second paragraph. Just read the blog. That's the last one she did, where she even names me. And she says, skimmed it rather. It's all BS. Now this clears up from Jess, the relationship with the Speranza family. Everyone knew I had unknowingly been renting a room to Richard Sperazza's daughter. My ex-husband owned the apartment and rented it to her before I even met him. Lots of laughs. Richie was ill and I never met him. I did accompany his daughter to his wake in hopes of seeing someone or something suspicious. Alas, nothing interesting happened. Just your usual wake. Okay, so there is Jessie. She puts the nail in the coffin. Now, Christina did mention me about the Son of Sam files and documents, and I couldn't help laughing. She said I would give them out even to near strangers. Well, Christina, the other day, it was about 3 weeks ago, I was walking down the street, and there was a man on a park bench, Christina, and I'll show you how charitable I am. He was crying. And I said, my good man, what is wrong? And he said, it was my birthday and not even my 5 children care. They didn't even send me a card. Nothing for Christmas. I don't get a phone call. Even so-called friends. I don't get anything from anyone. And so I said, well, would you be interested in a file by the great investigator Maury Terry and documents on the Son of Sam? Oh God, give it to me. Do you know anything about it? I don't know anything about it, but I would love to have something. So Christina, there you are. More than, not even a near stranger, a complete stranger. That's charity. Now, Manny has just said, she's admitted publicly, as has Rocker Mike, that they do this partly to flood the algorithm. So when people look me up, her blog comes up. Well, you see, that's the sick Son of Sam community. But the question I would have for you, Manny, is the following. And I didn't know this was I was on the shows with you. Why did you pay attention to all these people? Why did you also enter in to litigating with these people? And even at times, I didn't know it at the time, even say things about certain women. Manny. You know, Leash, this one, that one, you know, having to have Ruby Almighty, Ruby the Wizard as a spy. You know, that you know, you and Ruby said, Manny, that Ginger Nichols and Maximilian Heusler, Ginger Nichols was Maximilian Heusler.
Eric, I think we can all agree that there's, you know, whatever's happened in the last few years in this community has been hijacked by a few certain individuals that have essentially ruined the entire case, to the point where nobody wants to do anything anymore. People are losing interest.
The tragedy is that we could have all worked together as a very strong team with everybody, every single person having their own special quality. I'm very good with analysis. And I also am very good in getting people to speak. You know, if I call them from out of the blue. It's just a big tragedy. But
too many personalities, Eric, all trying to get the position of, you know, top dog.
Yeah, but they're not top dogs. They're not on top of anything.
There's nothing to be on top of. This case is closed as far as I'm concerned. I'm just here for the dregs.
Yeah, which case are you talking about? Savino or
all of the whole case, Eric? There's nothing else for me to learn.
No, the Savino case or the Son of Sam?
Well, there's maybe potentially still stuff to learn of Savino, but as far as David Berkowitz and all the other, you know.
Well, I respect you. I disagree, but I respect you. But you see, I'm not going to attack you. I'm not going to say later, oh, she's crazy. No. Because just like I used to say with Manny, I'll repeat it. Maybe you're correct, but I don't agree. You know, there are other people out there who would, a lot of those detectives agree with me. But even if the detectives did not agree with me, I would hold my position. And my position has nothing to do with Hank Chinotti.
Manny, let me ask you a question. Why was David never questioned about Savino's attack up until last year? I mean, why? Since 1977, he could have been questioned about this. And to his knowledge, he didn't even know about Wendy up until last year. Why is the case, when it was reopened in 1994, was David never questioned them? Please, can you answer this? We'd all love to know.
And Rena's not asking it antagonistically. It's Rena who's asking the question, Manny, not Christina Clough.
So Manny says, I'm the first to admit that nobody cares about the case except the people watching this. And there's 6 people watching. Well, one of them is including you, Manny. So
Manny, I'm sorry, but that's a cop-out. Come on, Manny.
Jump on, Manny.
You know, you're the first to admit. What do you mean nobody cares about the case except the people watching this? 6 people now, but it's going to go up. 6 people now, so what? Maybe one of the 6 people is very important. All you need is one very important person.
I think too many people are trying to intercept this case and sabotage it for all the wrong. They're looking at people, you know, they're trying to find dirt on people that they're not finding, so they resort to making up lies about people. And I'm afraid you just can't do that. You just cannot do that without expecting repercussions for it. So I would suggest, Christina, stop the lies, or else you're going to get yourself into a lot of trouble. There's too many people watching this. Everything's documented. Things will come back to haunt you in the end.
And you can play it over and over. Rena and I have not said anything ill about one person. Not one person. And I will only say that Christina Clough seems to have taken up the mantle.
I mean, her obsession with the Savino case is just beyond anything I've ever seen before. And she's recycling stuff she's already mentioned. I mean,
well, she just inherited going forward with attacking certain people from Dana Duda. The same time, different personality. Now, Manny says it was, yes, that's what Detective Klein said to me. But you see, Manny, I even referred this to a man you once spoke to that we cannot name because he's still on the force. They tried to Serpico him, an intelligence agent and vice detective, and also with others. A review, but they even confirmed for me, even the Bronx County District Attorney's Office confirmed with me that they did not, that it was not just a review. The 5 means an ongoing investigation. They've told me this, and I made a note of it. So what were they reviewing? There's a reason, Manny, why they review a case after 17 to 18 years. Now, there they have it. Just what Klein told me. They did not speak to Wendy. Well, why wouldn't you speak to the protagonist of the case? What made them review the case? That's the reason, Manny. What made them review the case 17 to 18 years later?
No one knew about David shooting her until I spoke to Wendy, at least not officially. But Manny, Wendy's been screaming since 1977 that David did this. Why was he never questioned until you came along last year with Wendy? Why?
Did organized crime. I'm not saying that the husband, well, the husband was involved in something. I mean, you don't bring you're not supposed to be a law enforcement officer and bring 3 silences or 6 silences from Florida.
Neo says because some people were given info. No Berkowitz at all.
Neo, please, what information? What could you expound on that? Who were the people given information in 1994?
So Manny says screaming to who? Her friends? Why was nobody taking her seriously, Manny? She says she's been trying to tell so many people since 1977 that David did this. Why didn't she go to the press, Manny?
Manny, she came back. What year did she come back, Rena? 1979? 80? Why didn't she go to a police precinct and file at least an affidavit saying Mr. David Berkowitz, known as the son of Sam, attempted the murder of me? He tried to murder me.
Neo says, how do you guys listen to the word this chump says? He lies nonstop.
Because Neo, Rena invited him, we accepted, and you have to come back and answer Manny when he speaks.
It's because Manny does lie. And we all know that. Okay? And Manny's been caught out in very many lies, Eric.
And listen, Neo, it's very important that when Manny puts something up,
He has to answer the question.
That we respond logically to what he's saying. It's not about listening to a word. It's about receiving his words and coming forth, you know. Now, Manny says he's never lied about anything. I wish everybody was on the show at once. A big marathon.
Manny has been caught out in many lies. Too many to even count. We have questions, Manny. So many questions about the Wendy Savino case. The links at the top. Please come in. Please answer our questions.
Manny, you know me. You're going to be respected. Nobody's going to trash you if you come in.
Neo says, Eric knows you are a tool bag.
What's a tool bag?
A tool bag is a jerk off, I was going to say.
Oh.
Manny, please come in. Please. We've got so many questions. We'd love you to answer. So I don't think we're ever going to get the answers to our questions, Eric.
Well, all that's going to happen now is probably maybe this show will, who knows, it's going to give Dana Dudar, Christina Clough something more to write about. That's basically what's going to happen. That's all. You know.
There's the man.
What's good?
What up,
Paul?
What is good?
So, how are you, Paul?
I'm good.
And how's your family?
Good. How you doing? All right?
Yeah. We didn't get the northeaster that everybody said we would, and today, for some reason, I'm physically very well. But it's good. It's good to have you on. I mean, you know, and.
Neo, is there anything you want to say to Mr. Grossman while you're here?
He's so full of shit.
All the answers to your question have been
it's incredible if you've been here from the beginning.
Yeah, well, he says
watching this guy call somebody a liar. I've seen this guy lie more than anybody I've ever met in my life. He's the biggest liar I've ever seen in my life, and he's got the audacity to keep playing games 4 years later. I don't lie. I've never lied. Like, no one has seen you lie. Cops see you lie. I see you lie. He thinks like it's just a game between me and him, and I'm the only one who sees him lie. He's lied more than anybody I've ever met in my life, which is why, again, you have to take his Wendy story into context as garbage because who it's coming from. You know, I wish these police and whoever dealt with this guy knew about him, because I can literally meet every single person that dealt with this Wendy case with him and laugh at them. Because when I'm done with talking to them face to face, I don't want to do any email or texting. You know, when I'm done talking to these guys about this guy and how he operates and how they were manipulated and fooled, it's a joke. This guy is the biggest liar. And he's on here complaining about Christine. I mean, they're both the same thing. They both lie about people, make up stuff. This exact Wendy thing is the same work that Maury Terry, to me, has done through the years. basically just accused people of doing things and with no evidence, zero evidence. Neo is lying now. Said, dude, you just keep playing this game. You see that book? It's all real, and it's backed up by how many people are in the book. You are such an embarrassment to yourself because you just keep going.
But your book, your book, I have to say that your book is.
You're a joke. You're a joke, Grossman. That's why I'm up here, and you could never come up here.
Paul,
Never. You could never face me because of the lying coward you are, and I would have you stuttering if you ever decided to debate me, because we would go over everything, hundreds of lies that you did. I mean, I actually took it easy on you in that book. I did, because people who were reading it before it was done, like, didn't want you in the book. There was no need actually for you to be in the book, but I kind of needed it to show, how much nonsense I had to go through to get the answers, how you were in my way basically the whole time. So I felt
Paul, those people who said you shouldn't have been in the book are wrong, because your investigation ended up meeting with him and his interest.
Right. But it was me fighting with him to understand that Berkowitz was alone. You don't understand. This guy thought everybody was guilty nonstop. I mean, I would meet the nicest lady in the world. He's like, I think she's guilty. Okay. He's thinking Berkowitz was sent in by police. I mean, you got to hear some of the theories that this joke had. I mean, you don't understand where his mindset and how he really is, because he plays me. You understand? Like, his whole, everything he says and it's all my stuff. So you don't even know the guy, because he's full of shit. What was in that book is the truth. If I never ran into him, do you understand the work he would have came up with? Do you understand that, Eric? If I never stopped this kid from you got the Wendy lie, you got the fireman lie, you got the Usher lie, endless lies. You got the Dr. Honorado nonsense he was kicking up. I mean, it's just nonstop. Endless lies you would have had. The same thing as Maury Terry. That's what you would have got with this kid. Same shit.
Well, I read your book, and you're very fair. You don't trash him at all in your book. You speak about working with him, speaking with him, being frustrated, but there's nothing vulgar or any trash.
That's because I had to take it all out.
And for a large, but the book is the book. And for a large section of the book, you did believe that Berkowitz, correct me if I'm wrong, was with others, and then you came to the conclusion he was alone.
Yeah.
And the book is worth reading, even for someone like myself or our friend Glenna, the conspiracy archivist, who read it in one night. She said it's an excellent book, but she still believes, as I do, there's a collectivity. None of us is God. And but I would say this, though. Maury Terry, I have been told, did make things up which would be lies. But there's many times when what are called lies on the part of Maury Terry are really mistaken judgments.
Yeah, but I like the way you explained it earlier on. Some are and some aren't. And he was overwhelmed. And I did. I wanted to comment on it, but I wasn't there. But I like the way you said it.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell people that.
No, we didn't. Hold on. Neo, let's listen to this junk box. Neo and I both came to the conclusion, Berg. No, we didn't. You want to come on here? We'll show emails of you fighting with me. You didn't even think the letters were written by him. Right? You're forgetting about Penny, and you're forgetting about John Geis, and you're forgetting about the real people that did this investigation. Okay? You came with us. That's what you don't seem to recognize. You know where you were going when you were with Craig, walking around on Meyer Park 100 times? Right. You came with us. I had to pull you with us. Okay? And then when I dumped you, remember when I got rid of you? I had to get rid of you because you're toxic. Remember that? Then you decided it'd be a smart idea to just play me. Remember that? Because you're the biggest conspirator and you act like people don't know. You're a joke. We can keep going. Okay? Where'd your Netflix get you? Right? But my book's still there. And I guarantee you my book is going to stay on a lot of people's shelves. Okay?
Well,
not your stinky Netflix shit.
I wish I knew Ruby still, because she would be able to give me a copy of the Netflix. I don't belong to Netflix, Berlinger's film.
Right. Making it all right. The book's all made up.
but I will say,
All made up, right? There's
No,
100
what
people
made
there involved.
up?
We're scared to come on here because you're a coward, and I'm making it up.
Where is this being said? I don't see it.
He's writing his garbage as usual.
Where? It's not appearing on the screen for me.
I'm giving him his attention. This should give him enough energy. Maybe he'll go start bitching to everybody again, give everybody his mental entertainment.
I'll tell you one thing. There's two things. A very good appendix to your book, right? Or we could say your book is I would actually, a lot of people have knocked the book by Carl Denaro and who's the co-author? Bruce Bennett or somebody. I have the co-author's name wrong. But Carl Denaro's book is a different type of book. But let me finish, Paul. And it's a very good book to read along with yours, Carl Denaro's, because he does point things out intelligently about Maury Terry. On one show, I had said to Manny, it seems that Maury Terry became the alter ego of Berkowitz. It's almost as if you're dealing with two people who at times have the same personality in what they're putting across.
you got to pay attention to this guy, Eric. You know, that's kind of we're open for this. Look at this kid. Like he seriously think he's fooling people, though. Do you see his comments? See, this is his normal nonsense.
I'm sorry, but nothing is coming up.
Dude, keep reading the book. Please, Manny, keep reading the book.
Look, Paul, just listen to me. Carl Denaro actually makes some
having fun.
Points. Please let me finish. He makes some very good points about something I never knew of because I understand 2021 about Trudy Zeke and all of that stuff and giving people riddles to figure out about the case. I can't understand why Maury Terry would do that. And it almost reconfirms when I said he almost became an alter ego. He and Berkowitz were kind of a codependency.
Hey, Eric, you see this on the right? You see this? This is the same thing as all these leftists.
I don't see
all these troublemaking YouTubers do. You see them? They go over here and they talk nonsense, make up lies, right? And then when you go after them, they claim that it's you deflecting, you projecting, right? You're the liar. Look at this over here. That's a perfect example of what the problem with this country is right now. People like this guy, full of shit. He knows everybody knows he's a lying sack of shit, and he's still going to continue on there.
Well, Paul,
keep him back. Go ahead, come on, more chat more. That's why I came on here.
Paul, I don't see anything. Where is this?
Well, you got to put your chat on.
What do I do? Click.
We wanted this mental case to show up.
So Manny says, "Weird memory, man. You're making this all up."
You're right. I'm used to this argument that he does, so it's a joke. And I'm sure everybody out there is used to these type of people that are full of shit, just like the trigger people. And then when you put them in their place, it's look how you're acting. I'm gonna call the cops. You're threatening me, right? Everybody used to this nonsense, right? I'm sure everybody out there is. Well, that's this punk Manny Grossman. That's what he's all about. Bullshit coward. Why don't you come up here instead of typing on the side? Right? You know, you're superstar now, right? You can't come up on here. Superstar, Netflix fucking celebrity.
Manny, please click the link. We would love to have you on.
Drop it in case he doesn't know how to scroll to the top.
It has to be, but it has to be a very sound discussion.
Oh, it will be.
But the thing is this. The other thing I have to say is
I'd like to have John Geis up here with us. If that would be nice too. Also, Penny, like that Penny up here. There's a lot of people out of my book I'd like to have up here that this guy seems to leave out of what happened.
Well, the thing is
his joke characters that he fucking has.
Well, the other thing that I criticize about the Son of Sam, and I'm very firm on this, Bill Bagley put out the killer tapes, and then I found out from Paul Hart there's over 300 minutes maybe of those recordings, and Bagley edits them and has conversations with Jack Jones, and we don't get the full audio tape interviews. And I resent that. There's hours that are not there. Those killer tapes are just put out as a show. I don't care for that.
Oh, those tapes were really good.
They were
Hello.
in his attic for many, many years, and they were in a bad way.
Drop the link, Rena.
It wasn't until Bill Badgley came along and offered to help digitalize them and clean them up and tidy them up and help him put everything together, well, they made available to us.
Right, but we don't have everything.
If it wasn't for those tapes as well as Neo, I would probably still be thinking that David had help.
But Rena, if I have a 90-minute tape and only 40 minutes is used, what's on the other 50 minutes?
Well, maybe what was left was unusable, Eric, because they were so old or maybe damaged.
Well, let him make a statement. Let him make a formal legal statement about that.
Well,
I have to be severe on this. This is nothing against you. I'm not brushing you aside.
Hey, ask Grossman where the evidence in the Wendy case is.
Yes, Manny.
Since he's so talkative, ask
Manny,
him where the evidence is.
You claim to be an expert on the case,
Ask
Manny.
him how
How did you not
sketches-
know that David?
Ask him how
left Meadows
sketches
on
were
the floor?
evidence until he needed it to be. Ask him about that.
You're talking over each other.
Let me just ask Manny this question: if you're an expert on the Son of Sam case and David Berkowitz's comings and goings, you would have known that he left the Meadows on the 4th and not the 8th.
Oh,
then-
no. Yeah,
and then you
you
claim
should
he
have him
shot
up there and
Wilson.
discuss that. Yeah, you don't even want to get into that. He won't ever come on and discuss his known manipulations that he made. Why would he do that? Why would he discuss what he knows he selective edited and
So
gave
he
to the
does
police?
exactly the same as Maury Terry.
Exactly, because he's a joke. And that's the way his whole investigation was. All lies, just like fuck Maury Terry. Like the fireman getting in there a couple days before the arrest, that was a lie.
But let me ask you this.
Another lie that I 100% lie. Okay?
Rena,
I found that. Lie.
don't you think we have to distinguish between what is a lie and what is a mistake is?
Yeah.
Oh, that wouldn't have been a mistake. That was very easily
When you're
available.
making up things and added it like this Wendy thing, I mean, it's a
Well,
lie.
the Wendy Savino case, that is the mystery. As I said, why does the New York Police Department go forward with it?
But what evidence is there that David did this, Eric?
The guy's on his way out, Eric.
I told you,
Okay, he gets this kid coming in there with nonsense. He's not doing nothing his last couple weeks. He goes and asks his superior if he can go take a ride to see the most notorious serial killer before he's retiring. They pay for it. He goes up there. Who cares? He didn't think anybody was going to bother him with this. You know what I mean? I mean, I fault him, but I don't that much because I know this kid is disgusting. And he's the worst liar I've ever met in my life. So there's nothing you can say about anybody, even Mike Lorenzo, because I know how this kid operates and it's disgusting. And I can show you, and I have proof about how this kid acts. I just haven't used it yet. I'm waiting. You know, there's people that have helped me during this thing because, again, he didn't do shit that are ready to pop up and know what happened. This kid's a piece of shit liar about everything. So I can't even blame anybody but him because I know he's a liar. I don't know about Klein. I don't know Lorenzo that well, but I know this kid is the biggest liar, and I know that he would do anything to sabotage my book. Okay, because that's how he is. He doesn't care
Just
about
like
Wendy.
Christina.
He doesn't care about the case. He doesn't care about anybody. It's all about him beating me and making my book irrelevant. So you guys don't want to factor in this kid's personality, how he has no compassion, no heart, nothing. He's black, which is why I had to get away from him. You ain't factoring that in with this kid. Okay, yeah, I am. And anything he says to me is a lie until I check it. There is no believing him and just letting that. He's lied that many times.
I will just repeat my question.
And I feel bad for those guys. Right?
Yeah.
That's why I can laugh if we meet up, because this kid manipulated.
Look, I will just repeat my question. You still have to have an authority, a higher authority gave money to a case to reinvestigate the Son of Sam.
But is it that bad closing it for her from the cop standpoint of view also, where it's 50 years ago, no one's really going to break your balls? You know, you client's thinking he's possibly could be doing the right thing. Now, again, I'm not saying he is or he isn't, but I don't know them to be passing the judgment.
Klein told me how it was closed. It's not case closed, solved.
It wasn't closed, dude. Listen, it wasn't how it was manipulated.
It is legally, administratively closed.
Right. They gave her
So
what she.
therefore,
they
it's
ga-
bureaucracy.
Right.
If you want to, that's why so many people since May 2024, even Clough, even Paul Hart, everybody, nobody has gotten through the Freedom of Information law
Hey, Rena,
all the documents.
do me a favor, Rena. If this dude, if you drop him a link, you don't come up in like 2 minutes, just block him. Because you know what? This dude does nothing but lie, and all he does is block and delete for the past 3 years with his nonsense. So I don't want to sit here even paying attention to him. So if he don't want to come up here like a man and we can discuss the 200 or so lies that he did, block him to just get him off. You know? Dude, nobody wants you anyway. What's willing to deal? Yeah, sure you would. You're damn straight you won't come up here if I'm here because you're a coward.
I have
Honestly,
so
just
many
block 'em
questions.
and take them off.
I have so many questions about the Wendy Savino case. I would love nothing more for you to come up here, Manny, and I'll answer them for us.
Give him 2 minutes. Seriously, block him because that's what he did for 3 years. Is he went lying, and he acts like nobody's seen him lie but me. That's what's so embarrassing about this kid. And he comes on to this day like it's me, like I don't have a fat book to throw at you, and there isn't about 100 people behind the work I did, and you have 0. You have Ruby and your fake accounts. You got to be shitting me with that, man. Seriously, block him because I don't even want to see his shit. He's a coward. Block him, Rena. Take him off. Don't even need it. And he'll come with another fake account in like 5 minutes.
Paul,
Right.
I'm
So,
sorry.
okay.
I have to.
You lose. No more coward stuff. You want to deal with people, you either come up or come see me face to face because this bullshit.
Well, I was hoping Christina would have jumped on, but yet again, no Christina.
Yeah, I wish she would too. We can discuss the book review because, again, I'm calling her a liar just like this punk, right? So come up here, Christine, and we can go over everything you accused me of without even speaking to me 2 minutes of your life. Or you got your information from people that don't even know me. That's what's insanity. You know, I don't even know where you got your information about me from. So I'm giving you an opportunity. That's why I come on here. Right? Because that's what I like to do. I like to come on here like a man and call out cowards who lie, like Manny Grossman. We got a ton of lies to go over, right? But he don't want to do it because he's a coward. And Christine, yeah, you wrote a couple horrible things, and there's a few people that say things to the contrary of me. That's why I'm here. You can come up. We can discuss it and go through every single lie.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. They're very vocal every other time, you know.
The only thing
when they've got the opportunity, then they're nowhere to be found.
No.
Where are you?
That's why I got a book with my name on it. And you can prank my house all day. You can do whatever the hell you want all day. I'm right here, man. And I'm living good. I'm going to live even better in a minute. Trust me. So, yeah, all you haters, don't worry about it.
I don't believe in censorship. Nobody should be blocked. No censorship.
Oh, well, you're blocked when you cause trouble and you're a punk coward. That's when you get blocked, Eric. All right? This kid's a liar, and he shouldn't be given a voice. All he does is make shit up.
Yeah, I'm.
He's on here trying to pull the leftist game. Oh, me? Look how you're acting. Enough of it. This guy has been the most disgusting, vulgar, disrespectful piece of shit that I've ever come across in my life. Okay, ever. And he's on here trying to like deflect that it's whatever, dude. Enough, man. Enough. Now you get treated like you treat people. Blocked. You're blocked now. Now you can't lie for now. Okay. Now you got to work up another fake account. Go call up Ruby. Go bring up Moe account again, and then you can play your shit with that. You're a joke. All you guys are jokes. That's why I'm on here. All you guys do is make shit up. Make shit up. That's all you do.
I'm surprised that. Wait a minute. Why don't we bring somebody else in? Parker Fate.
Anybody. See, again, I got a history with this kid. You bring anybody else, and I'd like to really discuss because this kid, I got enough to go at with where it's not going to be cool. But anybody else, they don't know me, and I don't know them. I don't even know how it could get so bad. I mean, I just got to deflect a couple lies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the link's been up there for an hour and 19 minutes now, and so far, nobody's clicked on it apart from you, Neo. So, I mean, that's very telling that these people are all talking, no action, right? Especially people like Christina. Manny, you are still give you a couple more minutes. You're welcome to come on, discuss with Neo
Oh,
what you
you
want
gave
to
him
say.
enough. Block. I mean, really, he ain't coming. He's a coward.
I mean, I have so many questions about Wendy, as I've said before. How are we ever going to get the answer to these questions if
There's
nobody
no
will
evidence
answer them?
to the Wendy, and it was again.
What
Bullshit.
evidence do you have that David shot Wendy, apart from Wendy saying it after she saw David's pictures plastered all over the media? That is essentially all you've
And
got.
to bother a guy in prison, you know what I mean? I mean, I understand he did what he did, but you're a coward, a real coward, bothering this guy in prison like that. I mean, you got nothing, man. You're just a disgusting person. I don't know if I ever met anybody worse than you. And the sad part about that is you know it. You know how disgusting you are. You need to bother a guy in prison that can't defend himself from your lying bullshit. That is so disgusting. It is. It's just.
Well, I do think that.
And then for months, this guy's bragging about doing it, bragging about bothering a prisoner that is just locked up and can't move and can't defend himself, and you're bragging. And it's a lie too. You think like you really bothered a guy, but you just consistently have to try and get trigger people. Even a guy in prison.
David Berkowitz did defend himself with the answers he gave.
Right. And it was no every time.
Right. So he did defend himself. But you know.
Well, he wanted to take a lie detector test, and apparently he was refused. So
listen, when you can come up with 20 pieces of evidence that, okay, substantial, but are better than his too substantial or whatever the hell he has. It's not even. I mean, everything points away from Berkowitz. He knows. That's why he had to hide after Netflix came out.
Even Detective Klein said if this had gone to court, there would be problems. With the fact that David never had a .32 caliber gun, there would be problems if this ever had gone to court.
I even said to Detective Klein, and he said, "You're free to believe that." He said, he explained to me administratively closed. And so I said, so therefore the case is still open and it is a cold case. And then he explained to me that she is believed, if I have it correct, because she is direct evidence, meaning her testimony. Now, I don't agree with that. I'm not saying it's Klein. That's what the law is saying. So I made up indirect evidence. Now, that doesn't exist, but the indirect evidence is what? Berkowitz was never at Nina's restaurant. He says, I didn't do the shooting. So if you believe her based on direct evidence, you have to believe him based on what he said. You can't deny either one, but you could favor one or the other, but there's no fact.
Also, once again,
you have to give, you have to give David Berkowitz the better side, because in our Anglo-Saxon legal system, innocent until proven guilty. That's David Berkowitz. He's innocent. There's no proof of.
Oh, no, not these days. You're guilty till proven innocent, but let's not get into that.
Everything for the past quarter of a century has worsened in the United States and Canada. Believe me, it's horrible. And where Rena is in England and in Germany, people just write a meme and the police are tapped into your computer. I don't agree with transgender. They met a guy at the airport and arrested him, Scotland Yard. It's very dangerous today, but that's why you have to express yourself the right way, categorically, intellectually, because they're looking to push a button.
Yeah, they're doing, but that's Eric again. See, but that's what I don't like right now. That's what they want you to act like. You see, like this kid. You see how he pushes your buttons? That's going on all over the country, and especially in New York right now. You got people like this guy pushing people's buttons that are your real lions, that are your real leaders, that are your real people that stand up and fight for what's right. And you got people like this weak people triggering us, triggering people that are good, that are right, and then they just, they want to make it into something that it's not. And you're over here, you want us and people with strong attitudes to just lay down with no emotion when we're being disrespected by people like him with lies and nonsense. Do you know what I mean? But that's not what we're about. And that's why I think our society's gotten like this. You're letting these people get away with it. There's no more putting people in their place, when people disrespect you and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's going to get worse.
Well, yeah, it's going to get worse because you let it go. People like this guy running rampant online, disrespecting people on the keyboard nonstop. You know, not getting put in their place, not getting consequences because they want to be, you know, triggering people. That's the problem.
And it's only going to get worse. And he's just one of many.
He's
Oh,
the problem. Yeah, he's like the problem that we deal with today. All right, the lying, triggering, weak people. That's this guy right here.
Now, yeah, well, you know, but there's a lot of mixed factions of people not being coherent. I mean, you have Christina Clough and Rocker Mike and Bryce Watson, is it? They don't believe David Berkowitz is guilty, but then again, they're not. It doesn't seem that they're in agreement with either of you. It's a mixed bag.
I mean, the absolute ridiculous stuff that Criminal Justice Chris comes out with on her blog. Sometimes I think that she can't be being serious, Eric.
She is
This
serious.
has to be satire. This can't be like X versus Pyramid versus Carr versus Spear,
I don't know
you
how
know, versus Crowley versus.
She is absolutely serious. She puts too much work into many things that she does, and
all for this right here. All
But she
for this,
uses
so that you
AI,
talk about
Eric.
it. That's what
She
that's all
uses
for.
AI.
Just like this kid. All their antics is because they got no friends, miserable lives, and they do all this stuff because if they can't get attention, they're going to get it any way they can, which is, hey, I'll just talk about people, and then they're going to have to say something. You know, I don't even know how to get on her blog. That's how stupid her shit is. I have not even seen one blog of her nonsense because I
It
ain't
would
doing
scramble your head if you read that.
sewer shit.
I mean, the absolute ridiculousness that she comes out with on a daily basis. It's like a car crash. You don't want to look, but you.
There can be. I'll give you an example of where there was an excellent blog. It's an interview, and where there was one that was total trash. The excellent one, which came out after the trash, I believe, was with Paul Hart. And when I complimented Paul Hart, that's how we started to speak on the phone and forged a friendship. But the bad one, which was just nonsense, and I said to myself, this guy is not. It's as if she's comforting whatever is disturbing him is Jonathan Mitchell. You know, I had been in touch with him years ago, and I wrote to him. He said to me, "I'm sick and tired of you and your team. You exhaust me." What team? I don't have a team.
Now here's another guy. I don't even know where this guy comes from. He's never been to Yonkers, he says. I have no idea. And he seems to think that there's a bunch of people out there that thought he was on the case and he was getting all the answers. And there's a bunch of people that came out to stop him from finding the answers. Kids, I have no idea who you are, what the hell you did. I never read your pamphlet. You never came to Yonkers. Nobody cares about whatever work you did because it's shit. Okay. And I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. No one's paid attention to you at all.
But the other, you know, everything becomes ambiguous. You know, the long interviews between Caparelli and Berkowitz, and I was speaking to Frank De Gennaro, and you know, Dr. Caparelli gave me his telephone number. Frank gave me permission, and we called and we had a talk, and lo and behold, Frank tells me, now, you know, is Berkowitz playing a game? I don't know. But, well, I think he does play games. I'm terribly sorry. But he told Frank, and Frank told me this, that he had to say to Caparelli finally, I was the only one who shot everyone because he wanted to protect people on the outside like family. And that's exactly what Frank told me. So, and then what's
and you bring up Frank again? Okay,
but I think he's I found him to be a very fine person. But you know what's interesting? He can't even get the police report because his father was the one who was at the death of Joseph Messina. He was the officer. They will not let him have one letter of that report.
Oh, really?
Not one letter of that report can he get.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's conflict of interest. There's a lot of people with the Italian family name De Gennaro, but there is something also very, very mysterious, and that means hidden, about that Wendy Savino case and anything interconnected with it.
What, Frank's encounter with Wendy, you mean, Eric?
No, no, I'm talking about Frank's father.
Yeah,
yeah, I know, but also Frank had that encounter with Wendy, didn't he?
Yeah, and it was. And
that's
it was
not what he's talking about. But yeah, there goes another thing played by this kid Grossman.
That was falsely reported.
He literally made that situation out to be horrible. Now, I don't know Frank, whatever. I mean, I don't have to know him, but I know Mr. Grossman, of course, and I know how he operates. So it's pretty funny, when I talk to the New York Post and I talk to reporters, and the things this kid's saying is just disgusting, man. Frank, like, I try to put the truth out there because it doesn't matter if my personal feelings with people. I always like the truth no matter what. And what I got back was this kid made that situation disgusting because he doesn't want anybody talking to Wendy. That's part of his not being exposed. He doesn't want anybody talking to Wendy. This way he can't have Wendy answering anything that when he's not around or anything wrong because he's got to try and keep up his bullshit. So.
Well, Frank De Gennaro gave you credit. He says, I think Paul Augustine would call the journal.
He doesn't have to. I'm always going to tell the truth. He doesn't have to give me any credit. I'm going to be a soldier of Christ at all times, and I'm not lying ever, okay, like these chumps. And the story I got was what happened with Frank was not what happened. He was not
grateful. He was grateful.
Threatening to her or anything at all. He, again, was he following her? I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't want to answer that. That's not my job, but from the story I got was, I could only imagine Manny telling this lady or telling their, I could only imagine what he was doing because I know how he operates. And I feel bad for the guy in a sense because I don't think the guy meant her any harm.
No,
or was even talking to her,
Frank told me he was grateful that Frank told me he was grateful that you had called.
Oh, no, thanks. I appreciate that. He should be. The truth should always come out with people. If you have it, let it out.
But what's interesting is that case appeared, that incident appeared in a tabloid, the New York Post. But in Europe, specifically in England only, it appeared in a broadsheet, which is like, the New York Times, the Independent, one of the major British newspapers. That story appeared.
Yep, I was shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's kind of, think about it. He's got to deal with that. And he's got to look like that. And I don't know if that's really what he was doing because I don't know the guy, but the story I got was not like that. I mean, the guy was just, he's friends with Berkowitz. I mean, he's just asked her I don't know. I mean, I think I would have maybe if I ran into someone like that and happened to my friend, I might have asked some questions too. But again, I don't know what happened, but I know that what was done to the guy was not cool. That's not what happened. The guy meant no harm, and it just
it
not
got blown out of proportion.
There was no intent of causing her any harm at all. But again, how are you gonna prove it when you got people running to the paper with manipulated bullshit?
Yeah, we have a gatekeeper of Wendy, don't we?
Nah, whatever. Better off.
The only thing to do is really to interview her. Really, she's the one who should be interviewed.
I don't even think you should give it any air. It completely has nothing to do with Son of Sam at all. And nobody, no matter what he did, he put it on Netflix and nobody still puts it in. Nobody. No computers, no Wikipedia, no one adds this.
Well, it's an appendix to the Son of Sam because they did go to interview Berkowitz.
Yeah, why isn't Wendy Savino's attack on Wikipedia, Eric?
It's not on anything because it's not taken seriously.
It
Her
just hasn't made that stamp on this case, has it? It
There's
hasn't
no
quite.
evidence. Zero. There's more evidence pointing you to so many other areas in this. Zero. There's not even a nothing.
Yeah, and then what that man put up, what was his name? Cross Harry. He said, "How can you swallow that paper having a tracheotomy?
Yes.
How could she do that?" And
Or
um,
even just chewing it,
Hey,
Eric.
you answered it correctly though, Eric. She said it, didn't she?
yeah, yeah,
Right. So I don't know. Then she said she did that. So I mean, ask her if anything.
It was Rena who said that's what she said on the Unstructured show, and about the physician, and it's just look.
Yeah, Manny, I would love to know what you think about Wendy chewing up paper because, she was scared that they'd come in knowing that she knew too much.
Yeah, but
Well,
just,
hang on. If it's just Berkowitz, who are they?
that's right.
How is her doctor questioning?
I wrote that to Paul Hart. Who are they? Who I wrote it to him, and it was Ginger Nichols and Caldonaro and Mike Baker because he put them all in the replies. And I said, "Who are they?" It's a logical question. She says they might think I know too much. Or is she actually hinting at things to us, and she's afraid to say?
I've said this before and I'll say it again, Eric. I think Wendy was gaslit into believing David did this by many people, having the papers sent to her, having it put in front of her face constantly. I think in the end, she must have believed it herself.
I don't think she was allowed to go to the police by her husband.
And she said that her husband would
so
never let
many
her
things
talk
like
about
that,
it.
Eric.
Wait,
Right, Rena?
what was that?
Her,
Rena?
her husband would not let her talk about the shooting to him.
There's
Got a
so
lawyer.
many things.
He got a lawyer. He threatened to get a lawyer if they continued to question her, and he did get a lawyer and successfully stopped an extradition from England. The request, the subpoena was all dropped.
How can Joe sue Berkowitz when he'd never been charged with anything?
Who was going to sue Berkowitz? Joseph.
That would have went nowhere.
Yes.
You want to know why that would have went nowhere? Because he had no evidence like this chump. So he
was
could have
advised
wasted his
against
money and
it.
went to court. Berkowitz would have denied it, and at that point had the backing of he confessed to the other stuff. Why would he admit it? That the guy would have lost his money. There's no evidence.
I think that she's been in a state of shock all these years. I don't mean she's of unsound mind, but I think she's been in a state of shock.
I think she does think that it was him.
Yeah,
I don't know if she was gaslit or she really does or whatever, but still, there's things that she does, like I see a lot in this case, that, it's not cool. Okay. And again, you should look at something like this. Even Rena, did I go into when I first heard about this? Was I negative against it when I first heard it, or did we?
No, not at all. No,
we kind of were like, oh shit, it's enough. No. Again,
Yeah.
I went into this the same way I did Maury's work with it. Okay, this is what you're saying. Okay, I'm always, that's what you, and then you gain evidence to come to your conclusion. Not have a conclusion and then selective evidence to fit it. No, that's not how I came to the conclusion of this case. You can clearly see David Berkowitz didn't do it by looking at it. There's so many outs with everything else. So many outs. You got the mob connection. You got the political connection. You got Joe Savino's connection himself. You got his girlfriend. Okay. You got a guy leaving with two guys in a car. How we know Berkowitz ain't acting. You got so many angles. You got could have been a mishap. You got a same car next to the other car. Could have been something with that. There is so many outs with this. And just to have so many outs and none of it points to Berkowitz, I mean, it's almost an impossibility. Like I said, you can take any shooting in the Bronx in 76, 77 while he was a civilian, and you can pin it on Berkowitz by doing this Manny Maury style, okay? And bullshitting your way with selective editing information to make your shit.
And not only that, you've got the many inconsistencies in Wendy's statements.
Yeah, there's
over
many.
multiple videos, her story changes the
Again,
description.
Do you need to harp on her? You don't even need to do her because you want to stay away from the victim. So you don't even need to study her or do her. But you know your own thoughts, and it all helps you to your conclusion, correct? But there's so much of the other stuff where you can keep her out, and there's so much.
Yeah.
I mean, not keep her out. She's a part of it. I don't mean it like that, but I'm just saying, as far as if she's telling the truth or not, you don't really need to study that because, it's tough. It's not you focusing on that. I don't know. It's not what I'm doing.
Well, I think this case has been hijacked by too many unscrupulous people, and we are where we're at right now. There's many fights going on. There's people retiring and then coming back. I don't think anyone should announce publicly that they're retiring anymore because we know that's not the
They've
case.
never gone anywhere.
Yes.
He's a liar. Okay, you understand? The kid can't tell the truth. That's why he's by himself wherever the hell he's hiding because of his lies. Who would go on Netflix? This guy was dying to get on there. He lied his way to get on there. He acts like he cares about the victims. If you cared about the victims, you wouldn't knowingly manipulate information you gave to NYPD. That is a fact, which I think, honestly, you should get in trouble for. You knowingly manipulated information you gave to NYPD, and I know that for a fact because I know the information. You got it from me, like every other thing you got. Right, you got the information and the research stolen from me. Went around doing your videos after you stole my information. Knew the correct dates about the stuff, but then you gave NYPD the wrong information to fit your nonsense, and you know it. And then you went back, erased your video. Dude, crazy manipulation and lies by this punk, to the point where anybody out there who listens to this kid Grossman or you support him, joke, embarrassing. It's embarrassing supporting that kid. Okay, read my book, Read my book and then come back and tell me you want to support a fraud liar like that.
The Untold Truth of the Son of Sam available on Netflix, Amazon now. Cheeky plug.
And I suggest you doing more lives. Maybe get some more people comfortable to come on, or chat and the side, whatever you like, answer questions.
Virtual doors are always open.
Right. There's too many lies out there right now.
And may I say, I'm disappointed that nobody has showed up. The vocal ones, yet again, have been given the chance to click on the link. And there's nobody. Especially you, Christina. So I've read the statement from Max. It is what it is. The case still stands. Okay. Do the right thing, Christina, and remove that post, please.
No, I don't think anything should ever be removed. No sense.
No, but she's defaming people, Eric.
It's her freedom.
It's not true, Eric. Why would you want it up?
Because if somebody wants to lie, I'm complete freedom. Even if somebody would say Eric Gallaty is a murderer and rapist, let them be. Put it up. I don't mind.
No, that's not nice, Eric.
I can defend myself.
But it's a lie. It shouldn't be.
Because
but Eric, the fact that she cries and sends legal threats is very hypocritical. So if you dish it out, expect to take it back.
Well, the problem is that Manny should answer her. If she's sending legal threats, he should answer her.
He does the same thing, Eric. I've watched this kid sit there for years lying. And believe me, I got enough people on my team that have taken pictures of these years of lying and spreading lies about people.
Yeah, but wait,
okay? He don't like it done to him by Christine, but this is what he does regularly for 3 years.
But the thing is that she's pretending that she is Perry Mason in the way she writes things. And
AI version of Perry Mason.
It wouldn't hold a bag of water about things. I mean, it's as if everybody is supposed to be Adam and Eve before they fell from the Garden of Paradise, and she is the Grand Inquisitor. And
well, we know she's using AI, Eric, because in an article she wrote the other day when he was dead.
Well, you know what bothers me about this? When I stopped this Grossman kid from his nonsense, right? and I started looking into it. So I got some purpose while I was doing this for Wheat and Carl. Okay. And I think I handled my purpose with that pretty decently. And these people are over there after this was all done, original work, which none of them do. They all sit at their computer. Okay. To help Carl, to help Wheat. And I thought I did that, and enabling, all this nonsense to continue around Carl is, again, insulting. I mean, look, man, I didn't want these answers. These are the answers that came out, and these answers are real. Stop so the guy can relax. I mean, wasn't that the point? What answers do you want? You can't keep going until you get what you want. That's not what this is. So, let the guy go, because I gave him in that book the facts and the realness, and it was for a purpose, I felt, okay? Bigger than me. I was used, I feel.
Who's the guy you gave what to?
I'm saying Carl got his answers. I mean, ended up getting Carl in there. At the end of that, he got his answer, I felt.
Carl does not believe that it was Berkowitz who shot him.
Yes, I understand that. But, I mean, the people around him should really look at the facts and a lot of the new stuff that came out. Okay, it's all I'm asking. Really look at all this stuff, because I've really looked at all this stuff down to every letter, every page, and there is no accomplices. You guys got to understand. If there was, I would love to entertain it, but there is none. Throughout all of the evidence on this case, there's no accomplices. I mean, it is what it is.
Your logic in the book is admirable, but I do believe there were accomplices, because the accomplices are not that upfront.
Who?
This was real. Well, I do believe John Carl was involved.
How?
Based on what, Eric?
Based on descriptions, based on...
Hold on. Based on description? What descriptions? The sketches?
No, a description of the man, the color of the hair.
That you can't really give me more than that. What makes you think John was... If I'm showing you a report that his ex-wife gave when Berkowitz was arrested, when John Carr's there watching this on TV, call his house, and she's saying she didn't know him, and she is giving you, do you have any information of him actually saying he was with him, or any instance? Because I have an instance where he doesn't know him, and he's saying he doesn't know him.
Mm-hmm. You could
Plus, you have him in Minot, Eric.
Well, Minot is a whole different story. As I had said to Manny, I think that when Maury Terry hooked onto Minot, he did hook onto a crime connection from Yonkers to Minot that Rothstein had known of going back to 1968. And the Linda O'Connor call saying they killed John, they killed Michael. And George Bird, once again, doesn't ask who's the they, and he doesn't ask Meet Carl, what do you think? Now, all right, maybe John Carl wasn't involved. Maybe I shouldn't have jumped onto that. I was thinking of a description I read. Okay, but I believe that there were others involved. I believe Yonkers Lieutenant Gary Henley, and I believe Yonkers Chief of Police George Rutherford. Remember, I don't say you're wrong.
No, back Gary Hanley up. Okay, to back Gary Hanley up before all this new information came out. Listen, even Sarasi still thinks that Berkowitz might have known John Carr, and he dealt with the arrest. So Hanley is not wrong at all, because even Mike Lorenzo, when we met him, thought John Carr was involved. A lot of people thought the Carrs were involved, and a lot of the cops also thought, there was another detective in the beginning of my investigation. He said the first thing to do is look into Minot, look into a lot of people thought like Hanley. So again, Hanley that was the norm here until a lot of this information was now.
You don't believe at all that Berkowitz knew the Carr brothers?
No, I don't believe he knew the Carr family at all. And that's coming from me. I mean, my groundwork, I could only fill so many pages. I talked to a ton of people in Yonkers, even after the book.
And what about
knew the Carrs? And
what about Berkowitz, though, saying and what he said to Caparelli, and Caparelli changed the names, that he was introduced to more serious occult practices by them?
Right. I don't know why he was not telling the truth to Caparelli when I met him. I don't know why. When I met Mike, he was making me scratch my head because I was done with this investigation. I was just about done with the book. It's right at the end. And he was making me scratch my head because he started telling me a lot of stuff that Maury had. So, I was dumbfounded when I first started talking to him. But then after a couple of days, I snapped at it. I'm like, no, I'm not wrong. There's no way that this stuff, and then, I started to try and show him a bunch of stuff that, the real information that people need to see. It's not Mike's fault. It's not anybody's fault. I try to stress this. The stuff wasn't there.
There's no fault here, but Berkowitz does play with people. He said to Frank Gennaro, I had to tell Caparelli that now Caparelli told me it was like he got a phone call from Berkowitz. And this is after he had to correct something I had said on the first show I did with Rena that was aired back in July, that Berkowitz had a conscious feeling. He had to say, look, I've got to tell you, I killed them all. But then Frank De Gennaro tells me that the reason why Berkowitz did that is because he was concerned that people on the outside related to him would be harmed. Now, if that's so, why wouldn't people on the outside that are related to him be harmed when he gives 2 massive interviews to Maury Terry?
Exactly. I've said the same thing, Eric.
Right. And then the other fact is that it's this whole thing about one of my muses said, well, you don't rat on people in prison. That's very true. But I mean, come on. Ratting on somebody in prison also includes an indirect person considered a danger with all the interviews he gives. And he says, well, I got to tell the truth. This one was with me. This one was with me. I knew them.
But I don't even think that's, what happened.
They would worry him.
But that's not how he confessed in what I seen, that's not what I feel happened. It was important to me, again, helping Carl during this. So I had asked Mike to take Carl in there without Carl knowing.
Why did you feel?
No, but Berkowitz admitted to Carl, that he shot him. That's how the confession came. To my knowledge,
he doesn't believe it.
I hear you, and Carl's got a right to believe that. You got to understand.
And there's 2 different stories.
It's just like telling me that Jesus isn't real. When you're believing something and you're into something for many years, it's not easy to swallow. Carl being a victim at the same time, let him handle the situation he wants. I don't,
There's 2 different stories of how it happened. Caparelli tells me that it wasn't like I had said, which is why he immediately got in touch with me. He said, you came across a lot of good things, Eric, pointing out about the book, Berkowitz and I and Paul. And he said, Berkowitz never just came out. I said he was like an actor on a stage delivering a line. I shot you. The girl wasn't involved. Whereas Carl describes it differently from Caparelli. They both could have actually a different impression of what happens. That happens in life, like seeing an accident.
And he lied to him 2 years prior. 1 minute yes, next minute no. I mean, the guy can feel any way he wants anyway. I mean, it's, only thing I can try and do is help the situation, which I tried. I
still really feel that the most important interview ever given that reveals David going back and forth, like that timeline I made. He was alone, he was with others. He was alone, was the one with Maurice Dubois on 48 Hours, where he neither says he was alone or not.
Because he had demons, Eric.
Yeah, but in that interview, that's the only interview where he says he doesn't say I was alone and he doesn't say I was with others.
He wasn't alone. He had demons.
Well, that's
what he alludes to, and I think that's what helped him get through Maury's interviews.
No, but not Maury.
He wasn't acting alone because he had demons.
I'm talking about something else.
No, I know you're talking about Maurice Dubois interview.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean,
in David's mind, he's referring to the demons to kind of like.
No, because Dubois says, "Were you alone?" He's not going into metaphysics and supernatural occurrences. He says, "Were you alone?" He asked, I think, that question twice. Now, of course, remember, it's still just like the killer tapes, just like Bill Bagley. It's.
All right, tell me this, Eric.
Wait.
All those tapes, there's not one mention of an accomplice.
No, Rita, let me finish. it's still a show. We don't have the complete interview with Dubois. They cut it for a show in a certain time period. So we don't have everything.
Oh, Eric, when killer tapes were made, when what's his name interviewed David for those tapes,
Jack Jones.
Jack Jones, Berkowitz was already talking to Maury Terry at this point. So why didn't David bring up any accomplices talking to Jack Jones?
That's my point. He keeps going back and forth.
Yeah, Eric brings that up a lot, especially at that point with.
And I'm not trying to force either of you to
but he's telling two stories, two different people.
He tells two different stories.
No, he's telling Maury what he wanted Maury to hear.
Yeah, but this is what you have to understand, Eric. Did Berkowitz make up the 22 disciples of hell? I know he wrote it in a letter, but that whole 22 people, or did Maury and feed it to him?
Well, this is the thing. I believe that actually it's Berkowitz who had the upper hand on Maury. He had because he knew that Maury Terry was looking for a story. He knew, Berkowitz is a guy who
in the beginning, I got to agree with you. You're right. In the beginning, I agree with you on that. Yep.
Berkowitz actually, you told me, I didn't realize this, it might be in the book, which I actually think Caparelli's book is very interesting. But in that, he seeks these people out sometimes. He could have refused talking to Maury Terry just the way he refused not wanting to know Codella. But he knows just what he's doing.
Well, Eric, I go by his initial statement to the police the night he was arrested.
I was going to mention, good. Yep. When you look at the interrogation when arrested, he blames Sam, but you got to remember Sam's involved with the investigation. And the people they already know Sam is not. Sam is, again, over, I think, a 30-year city worker for Yonkers, known by all the cops and detectives. He worked in their offices. He did the same job I did. So I know his relationship with these people was like mine. So you got to remember that too. That's why Lorenzo had a relationship with him, at that point. Again, it wasn't Lorenzo's fault. You had a guy who was a habitual complainer, nonstop, coming in with information, not, bothering them. I don't even think he ignored him as much as it looks like either. But yeah.
The Sam that cried wolf.
Right. They knew Sam wasn't involved. He was blaming Sam, and they knew it at the arrest. They knew it to just blow it off,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
and the cars were interrogated probably more than anybody but Berkowitz, to the point where they were even going down to Brooklyn in September. Like, Berkowitz had mailed them a letter from the hospital they had him at. I don't know how they were letting him send out stuff, but they mailed him a letter, and the cars went right down to Brooklyn with it and gave a whole nother interview. There's tons of interviews with the cars, more than any. Just Berkowitz probably interviewed more than Wheat and Sam.
Now, remember that Hank Chinotti said to Manny he thought it was far-fetched that there was a satanic cult involved with Berkowitz. He said something like that. He said it's far-fetched, but he did believe there was a collectivity of people, Chinotti. But he said it was far-fetched. Maury was out of his league when it came to all these supernatural and occult things. He never had known of it. He didn't understand a damn thing about it.
I'd agree with that, Eric. If Maury had kept it to just a few people, maybe less than 10, and not gone off on this tangent, maybe
the more the better when you look at his work. And again, in the beginning, I don't think he meant to where it went. I really think his intent was to find people connected to it. I really think he thought people were, but as he went, it just,
it's very easy to see links that aren't there.
Right.
And that's what Maury was doing.
Yeah,
he was just kept adding on. I mean, you've seen that list in the 90s he gave to Berkowitz.
And yet there are other crimes where there are definite links with this whole linkage in North America, and it can even go elsewhere, of pederasts and pedophiles, people of all levels of finance.
It's never ending, Eric.
Then they're all connected. That is very serious. They're all connected, because then you find out it's not connecting dots. There are definite links with facts.
So hold on though, Eric, before we get too far away. So you think that Berkowitz was lying to Carl?
Let me put it this way. I made an error about John Carr. I don't know why I snapped that in, but I made an error.
No, I don't even know what you're talking about. You had an opinion. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, well, not an opinion. I made an error. Because I had actually told Manny that the Minot affair, and this was over the phone, and he said, that's fantastic. I said, he did discover the crime of Minot, drug dealing and everything else, and he associated it with Berkowitz. Now, and then, of course, you have other chefs who put spices into the soup, like Brother John Paul Rainieri. But what were you saying now? You asked me a question right now about something. What was that? What was the question you were asking me? Oh, do I think that Berkowitz lied to Carl Denaro?
Yeah, because I know you believe that he says he didn't shoot Wendy, and you believe that, right? But then you don't believe that him when he says he shot Carl. I'm not asking. You're entitled to whatever.
Well, let me put it this way, because I'm very severe with myself. I believe somebody else. All right, this is interesting. You made something come to my mind. I believe that somebody else with Berkowitz actually shot Carl Denaro, and it was meant really for Rosemary Keenan. Now, is it possible it was Berkowitz alone?
Do you have any?
I keep myself open. Remember, I'm not Lucifer who thinks he's as good as God.
But you have him admitting it, confessing to it, right?
Yes, but that confession of doing it alone is a denial of what he's previously said several times to Carl Denaro, that it was the girl who was with me.
Right. No, and good point. Yes, and again, why Carl is
that has to be taken into consideration. Plus, look, everything is screwed up with the way I could have investigated this far better than anyone, because why people liked me. I'm not trying to be egocentric. Is some people were going to leave Manny and Jason. Then they said along came the guy who asked the right questions. I questioned you, Rosemary Keenan. She's the daughter of a detective.
Right.
She doesn't call a cop and say she's bothered that somebody's following her during the day.
But did she? I mean, are you sure that she didn't go have her father called right away?
There's no report that she called her father or the police.
Well, we don't know. I mean, it's her personal dad. I mean, it's her dad,
Right. But then, as Carl said when he was on Bryce Watson's show, one of the two shows, she had mentioned it to people when they were at Peck's Bar and Grill. So I can easily conjecture that when they went for a ride after to go and find a nice place to make out and smoke their weed, who's to say that they weren't being followed to that place?
So am I right in thinking she was getting harassed in the bar?
No. She spoke about that.
Yeah, she spoke about an incident, right? Because they're trying to come up with anything they can.
She said, Carl relates that she said, I was followed today. I've been followed today. Now that's very eerie. I know
that, when something like that happens, Berkowitz wasn't brought up. Remember that. And so they're trying to recollect anything during the day that they can remember. And that's what she's saying.
Right.
She's, saying, I think I've been, she could have had that feeling.
I have known children, people related to law enforcement, and they would immediately go to their father, who's either a police officer or at the rank of detective, and speak about it.
You'd have to ask Carl. He's can't beat that.
Well, I put it,
Carl, but he knows what she did. I can't get any other. I don't want to talk for him or her.
A question was put by somebody called Antonius9999 on Rumble to him, and I've never seen an answer. But the whole point is this: the reason why I believe they were followed, because I don't know of any Son of Sam case from my analysis where it just happens by chance that he goes out or the collectivity goes out and happens to come across somebody and says, that's the one I want to shoot.
What do you mean? That's the whole
I
spree
believe-
is like that.
Well, you see, I believe that it was all pre-planned, that he went on reconnaissance, studied the area, and whether he was alone or with others, they
Studied
knew.
the area. I'll give you that. He is known. He said a lot. He would go and
Yeah.
drive around, but I don't think he had anybody in mind. You know, I think he seen an opportunity and took it.
Well, what about, okay, you see, this is where you need money, a lot of money to go further. The investigation. What about the discotheque? The discotheque, was it Peachtree? That fellow was on. He had an Italian name. He was a disc jockey who plays for people. He knew David Berkowitz. He saw David Berkowitz taking.
That's what he says. Yes, that's what he says. But I don't think he said he's seen him on the nights of the shooting or anything. I think he may have said he's seen him in there.
Donna Lauria.
You got to remember also, he did not like those places. And he stated as saying he did not like going to clubs and bars. So I don't think he was at that. Outside of it, maybe, again, I could be wrong, but that's what he stated. He don't go to it.
You know, why don't we reach out to that man that Manny had on? It would be interesting. You know, we're not antagonistic, because the fact is that he also said that he saw Donna Lauria, as they call her in English, there. And who knows, these, you know, whether he's alone or with others, there's this obsession of a dislike for the female. You know, he even writes to Dr. David Abrahamson that he's had fantasies of going and digging up the bodies of young women and ripping their cadavers to pieces, you know, from the coffin. And then here's another thing, Paul. Here's another thing, and in whatever I'm saying to you, I'm not trying to tell you.
Conversation, Eric, spit it.
Yeah. Okay, here's another thing. I always suspected him with Dr. David Abrahamson, and I still will say the most revealing letter is what he wrote to Abrahamson, where he said, "Only you understood me. Everybody else was my puppet."
So you believe
later,
what he wrote? You believe that relationship, those letters, that you believe what he's saying there?
I think that we have a lot of truth mixed with lies.
Right.
Because Caparelli's book, see, too many people will take your book, Denaro's book, and Caparelli's book and toss it aside just the way they toss people up on the internet if it doesn't fit their narrative 100%.
Amen to that.
The fact of the matter is that in Caparelli's book, I said, lo and behold, I was right. Not that I want to be right. I'm not looking for gold stars. But the fact of the matter is, he even says in Caparelli's book that that the whole thing with Abrahamson was, I'm going to put it in my words, insincere. The whole thing. And he goes back with Caparelli talking about demonic possession.
Right.
But you have to remember, Eric, Berkowitz reached out to Abraham.
Hold on, Rena, because I want to point. I think he was insincere about his relationship with his mother. Okay, because I think that's what he meant to point out. Not so much the letters in the interview with Abraham. It was more because he was mad at his mother, Berkowitz, at the time, because she had done that house interview, that whole, whatever it was. So he was mad at her. So I think when it came to discussing her with him, he may have been a little harder than he would if he wasn't angry at her. That's my opinion.
Yeah, well,
because I do find, like you said, there are lies there with him and Abrahamson, but mostly it's true. But I do feel he put a lot of lies in there. When you look at all his stuff as a collective, all his letters, just, I don't know why. There was some things in there, like when he was talking about seeing people dead in the middle of the street. There was just a lot of stuff.
Even the contradictions with what he tells a Newsday reporter, what he tells this one and that one. I don't really believe that he's a patsy. If he was with others, as I believe, I don't believe he's a patsy. I don't believe he is a patsy. Look, Paul, as I always say, as I said to Manny, and you and Rena may be correct, he was alone. I don't believe it. because I told you that I also met the nephew of Edward Zigo, and his father was a detective with Zigo. He called him uncle out of respect because he was an elder, always at the house. And Edward Zigo, there was something that happened to him when this case ended. And this young man's father, a detective, said, "You are never to speak about this case to anybody."
I've gotten that so much, and I can testify to it.
There is
Okay, it's
something,
bad news. This case, it
you
just
know, there's
there's
something,
bad.
something.
Well, you know, Ed Zigo's wife passed away during this. Like, this became a personal catch for him. That's why he roared up the Yonkers like a lion, because he really was into catching this guy because of the amount of time that he was putting in down New York City trying to get this guy, taking away from his time with his family. And then when his wife passed away, he got personal. And that is
Okay. Now there's an answer as to why he would break the law and realize he did when he entered the car.
well,
And then,
Eric, we can definitely, we've been on here for a while, and I'd love to go over that whole thing one day where you go over the arrest, and I think I can change your mind as far as it being wrong. And I think he would have a real strong argument in court with what he did.
right.
Eric,
But I could be wrong. And I've been told by detectives that I was wrong. So
I'll tell you who's wrong. It's Judge Kakache, who signed a search warrant when that which was to be searched.
But listen, Eric, he was already in custody. Son of Sam was in custody at the time, admitted it to the police, law enforcement, and everybody that he was the son of Sam. Okay. They needed to get his car and his apartment in their possession. So when they went to see Judge Cacase, they simply told him, listen, we can wait till tomorrow, but that you're going to sign it anyway, because we have him in custody. He admitted he's the son of Sam, and we need to get his stuff down to New York City. This judge was put in front of him something that he had to do in order for the New York to continue the process and take him down to New York City. You understand? They couldn't take or move any of that stuff if the judge didn't sign it. Now, you had him already in custody. So, yes, he signed it after he went in, but he needed to do that for New York to continue.
I know, but there are, the moral need is one thing, but there are so many lawyers. We're in the 70s. It's like that now. Strawberry, I won't tell you her real name. She listened into the show up until the time of what Lisa knew about Steinberg. Then she left listening to Manny. I'm friends with her. I can't give her real name. And her brother was knifed right in the abdomen in Limbrook. That had to do with Herman Slater and the Magical Child. But these things, and the killer got off because they didn't read him his rights in Spanish. Now, the whole point is that even Maya Beam, look how long it has been mistold that Maya Beam said we caught the killer. Well, I happened to put on the news. I finally found it where Maya Beam says we've caught the man believed to be.
Right.
He never comes out and says we caught the guilty party.
Well, he wanted to give a response to the public, and they had just caught him within.
Yeah, but he didn't say we've caught the killer. I have to be fair to Maya Beam. He said,
but go ahead.
We've caught the man believed to be. And that's
right, because it was early. It could have always ended up not being him.
Yeah, but that's right. It's an allegation. But everybody has historically said Maya Beam came out after speaking with him and said, we've caught the killer. He never said that.
He just wanted to give the public a sigh of relief as quick as he could. And that's the best statement I think he could give. He gave a blank check to the NYPD. Blank check. He was not doing anything wrong. They were all trying.
No, I didn't say Maya Beam was doing anything wrong. I said he gave the right answer, I believe. He didn't say he's the killer. Right. The man believed to be.
Right.
So he gave the right answer.
Eric, can I just say, it's very, 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 very rare for killers to act in groups. Because one, the more people involved, the more risk you have of getting caught. Okay? People leave evidence. They're untrustworthy. A lot of these serial killers work on urges, like David. right? So you put all these factors together. Look at Ted Bundy. Look at Jeffrey Dahmer. Look at John Wayne Gacy.
Oh, wait. John Wayne Gacy?
Well, maybe with you, I should leave his name out. Okay.
No, my sweetheart.
Gary Ridgway, then. Replace Gacy with Gary Ridgway.
Dean Arnold Coral. And that
I know.
goes
Eric, I'm just saying the practicality of working with more than one person increases the risks of getting caught. This is why they all work alone.
Okay, let me put it to you this way. They work alone, and I'm not saying everybody you mentioned, but they're part of a network. So they're not alone. Then there are those. They could be in a collectivity, somebody with a serial killer mind. You're a sweetheart, Rena. But I'm going to tell you something. There are gangs who eventually, when they become wealthy from what they do, they can hire the wealthiest lawyers, get off with even homicide, bloodthirsty murder, and they become maybe established mafias. There are people here in New York alone, we don't have to go elsewhere, who actually go out together to murder, and the murder is that somebody is being initiated.
But you've got more than 60 people involved in this case, Eric.
Hold on. They'll travel from Brooklyn to Manhattan and in Thompson Street, across the street from a kind of French restaurant with an orange awning. They shove a knife right into the guy. You have to prove you're worthy by committing a murder, and others in that cult gang observe.
The more people you have, the more risk you have of somebody slipping up.
No, wait a minute. Who are the 60 people involved in the Son of Sam?
Look at the list of Maury's list.
Wait. That list. If I
directly and indirectly involved, it says.
Yeah, I know. That's in the file I released. 77 people. Now, wait. There are 77 people on that list, but it doesn't mean they're all with the Son of Sam.
Directly and indirectly.
Yeah, but this is where we get to Rothstein, where you're looking at an entire culture, but it doesn't mean they're all organized.
Why is their name on the list, Eric?
Why?
Yes.
Because well, that list, now that was a list made by Maury Terry.
Yeah, the one David signed.
Yeah, that's not made by Rothstein. He got that list. Well, that's what I just said, what I had said to Manny. Whenever he came across a crime, because there was a similarity,
I'm grabbing a
water to say that they're all working together. They're not all working together. But a lot of the people on that list are, very dark types. Whitney Webb, in a 967-page book, Blackmail in America, the sordid ties between intelligence and organized crime, which Ginotti had told me about years ago, and I know it's a fact. She uses the word alleged. She will not say Cardinal Spellman and Roy Cohn actually did what they did at the Blue Suite in the Waldorf Astoria. She's careful with her language. But there was this subversive culture out there, and it still exists. They just came out with a case of a billionaire, Harry Rubin or something, and a girl, Jennifer Powers, who was doing just what Ghislaine Maxwell was doing for Jeffrey Epstein. And he had a 57th Street tower, beautiful apartment. He's worth millions apartment with a dungeon where he would torture people. And she even had somebody set up the right type of thing so they couldn't escape these women. So it's the culture is there. The era of Maury Terry is to try and say it's all part of one organization.
I have no doubt about that, Eric.
What?
I have no doubt about what you're saying. But in this case, I don't believe David had anything to do with what you're referencing.
But I'm not
saying just my opinion.
But that's my
serial killers are deeply tied to personal gratification, sexual urges, rage, revenge.
Rena, that's my point. I'm not saying that he had anything to do with some kink party with Roy Cohn. I'm not saying that he had anything to do with what Rothstein had discovered about children mostly boys, pederasty, murdered and being buried on somebody's wealthy property in Connecticut. I'm not saying that Berkowitz had anything to do with that.
Hey, is the chat on?
It's like frozen, Neo, since Manny. I
Why?
don't know what's happened to it.
Well, what did you do?
I didn't do anything.
Nice.
Nobody's saying anything.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, well, many people will. I mean, you know, look, let's put it this way. A lot of people, the thing, I think the reason why a lot of people may not is because we're searching for facts and we're objective. And also the fact that we get along well together, with I believing there's a collectivity and the both of you believing that there are others involved. I only wish that people, certain people, you know, like Mike Baker, I had a very good conversation with him, and I wish he would come on maybe the way Anthony DiMaggio did. We all had great conversations in that show a year ago.
yeah, we did some great shows last year.
Yeah, and it would be conducive. But, you know, as I say, these people who misbehave insult the victims. They insult the victims, they hurt them.
They do. They don't do justice to this case
Yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah.
In fact, I would say, you know, it's an insult to the victims and the survivors, the way some people go about it.
Disgusting. The amount of lies are such an insult to the victims.
The people that claim to care about this case don't.
And they
really
know they're
practice
lying,
the
and they think they're playing games, and they think people don't see their lies. It's, you know, they forget when you're all standing in one room, how weak their credentials are because of their lies. You know what I mean?
I have to ask this. Why doesn't Bryce Watson invite you on? I would be glad to be on her show.
Nobody's inviting me on, Eric.
Why don't these?
Because I have the truth, and I have facts, and I have evidence to back up.
This is the problem. They're not philosophical, where they analyze and describe, have a judgment of values, and then proceed logically.
I'm inviting Bryce Watson on. Bryce, you're welcome to come on here.
These people depart with certitude. They already have the answer before knowing anything. That's their problem. It's
You have to ignore the truth.
They're very close-minded, whereas me and Neo have been on both sides of this case.
Mm-hmm.
That they're not open to, you know, the ideas that maybe David did act alone. They're very close-minded, Eric, and that's when we come across problems.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can conversate, and you're on the other side, and we get along great. But
Yeah,
there's
well,
just this wall up.
I don't think I'm God. I'm not Lucifer. Where I say,
You're just asking questions like I used to, like Neo used to. And we came to the conclusion that David did this alone, by stuff we read, by stuff we watched. I mean, if it wasn't for this guy, I would probably still be thinking David had help. I'm not going to lie. And I know he hates me saying that.
well, there's no reason to admit that.
And Jack Jones.
People change. You know, there's no reason to say that. I do have to say this. As I wrote to everybody, I thought Joshua Zeman's film was excellent. It was exceptional, but I differ with the two of you and one other person. It was disgusting what he did to Maury Terry in the last half of the 4th episode.
I disagree, but I've heard people say that. I disagree.
Wallace, and then the way it's edited, you know, it was as if another filmmaker had made that part of the film.
That's
But
a
these
good
are
filmmaker.
people close to Maury.
They have different
Eric.
emotions. That's good. That's good filmmaker. I feel that too. That last
These
one
are
was a little
people
dark, but
close
he's
to me.
showing you what happens to you when you got to deal with this. Not. Do you understand how much stuff I came through that is not in that book? The crimes, the I don't even want to get into things that I shouldn't have been near.
Look, your book, which is 600 pages or more without the editing, Chris Milligan, within an instant of Trine Day Press from Oregon, would in an instant publish it. And he doesn't cut anything out. In an instant, it would be published. Believe me. And you would have more exposure than Amazon Books.
No, yeah, I have some stuff coming. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Well,
know.
guys, I hate to say it is nearly midnight here
yeah,
in
and
the
don't
UK.
blame me, Rena. You said an hour. It's 2 hours, 24 minutes and counting. So don't blame me.
All you
I
got to
think
do is click that live button from now on and just go.
this is to
You
be
know.
continued because,
And
as
have
you
to
can
pull up
see,
Eric a lot more and just throw them on there, here and there. And
We got to get other people on who believe what we do or others. And I'm just saying this, Manny, nobody's going to attack you if you come on.
oh yeah.
Come on.
Speak for yourself, Eric. I dealt with this kid.
Yeah, but
I
wait,
got a stack and list of lies to go
Paul,
through that he
Paul,
thinks he fooled everybody on.
have a discussion where you differ from him.
It's disgusting.
We can't have a show with
He's
everybody.
over here. Oh, we did this, we did that when it benefits him, right? We did what? But you go around leaving things out and taking credit.
Sad.
I got a lot to talk about if you have to pop his head out of a hole.
Come on, everybody, come on. There's nothing to be afraid of. But the person I really
Ryan
feel
Basti.
sad for, because he really did have a heart to help, and that's Jason Goodman.
Again, I would love Jason to come on here and we can discuss everything that went on. Okay.
I mean, there were. Jason,
I don't have anything to hide with that. I'll
Jason
totally.
said to me over the phone, we've gone as far as we can. He wanted to end it elegantly. One last show beautifully with Manny of a final farewell. Look at the work we've done. He didn't see how much further he could go with it.
well, this is to be continued, my friend.
Yes, we got a lot to talk about when it goes on live, and obviously you can see I'm more relaxed these days because a few things are going my way. And
Well, you're more relaxed, but you were like boiling water. I would have had to lower the heat on.
Well, you know what it is? I got a lot to get off my chest, Eric. People lie. I don't. I got a thick Bible there. Again, I would love for you to contest me or anybody contest me.
I'm not
about
out
anything.
to contest you.
But I want, because maybe I am wrong. You never
No,
know.
Look, I don't think you're wrong, but I don't agree. Now, I'm not playing a Jesuit game across the
No, but you don't agree. And that's where I want you to contest me, because then maybe we can iron things out and maybe see where we're different.
Right. I mean, I
Right.
wish Michael Caparelli would come on. Detective Klein.
You never know. Mike might pop up. There's no bad blood with Mike.
would
Mike
like to
is
I
okay.
would like to see Detective Klein come on. But I will say to everybody, I truthfully think they're overlooking, and I'm a guy who believes there's a collectivity, they're overlooking quintessential important parts of Paul's book, Caldenaro's with, I want to give credit to the co-author,
Brian Whitney, Brian Whitney.
Brian Whitney, and to Caparelli's book. I wish one day Caparelli, for the sake, not because, I want to exploit or anybody, but it would be so fantastic to have all 100 hours of the audio tapes public. All 100 hours of the audio tapes public.
We will
I
see,
don't know.
Eric.
I don't know if you recorded it. I'm not sure.
Work your charm, Eric.
Well, I won't be able to do that with him, but it would be great to have these people on.
Yeah,
And-
well, like I said, virtual doors always open. Be nice.
Even like Bryce Watson, whatever type of show she has, I don't want to, nor do either of you want. Who wants to break her balloon? Let her have a nice show. Let her go on with her show. She's well intentioned, but she's not Dana Duda. Good God!
Like, for instance, what I'm seeing sometimes also, and I'm getting stuff sent to me, the Reagan on the Charlie Kirk stuff. I ain't got time for that shit, Eric. I don't have I don't have at this point.
I knew nothing of Charlie Kirk except.
I'm just saying it. I was noticing some of that. It's not cool.
I'm sorry that he
So,
was murdered. There were
That all factors into people's character, Eric.
Yeah, there were people applauding his murder. I knew nothing of turning USA, United States.
All right,
of America.
let's not get into that now, guys.
All right, she's dying to get off. Let's let the Londoner go to
About
bed.
Palestinians in Gaza, I've been called names that I have
She's got
nothing
to have her
to
tea
do with.
before bed. Let's.
I'm gonna have my tea and biscuits
or
for
biscuit,
bed.
whatever the hell.
God bless you both. It was Remember, Rena, don't go blaming me. You said an hour. I didn't make it go this long.
You know it's Eric's fault. There's no
It's
way
all-
we get to 2.5 here without Eric.
All right, God
Eric,
bless you.
pleasure, dude. Pleasure, and I'm
continued.
looking forward to more. And you know me by now. You can get heated, but there's no. That's just what it is. It's just heated. It's emotion. It's not so much arguing. It's emotion.
raw.
A lot
It's
of things have happened to make people act a certain way and feel a certain way, and I let it out.
It's
Always.
You're rugged and raw.
All right. Well, God bless the two of you, and I hope we return with others.
Yeah,
To be
I hope.
continued.
Eat others.
be good. The both of you.
To be
God bless you.
continued.
All right. Now you're putting this all up, uncut, right?
This all
Let her-
goes
it's already up,
Facebook.
Eric. Everybody already seen it.
It's
Don't
already
worry
up.
about it. No censorship today, Eric.
Bye bye now. God bless you.
Be good.
Mm-hmm.
Be good, guys.
Mm-hmm.